Hello, good morning, Claire.
Good morning, Cora. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, thank you.
Okay. So today we would like to know more about you and your projects. So you will explain how you did to open the Hive and what led you to close it today. You received many messages and questions, so we hope that this interview will help clarify and give a better understanding of the situation. So first of all, the first question would be, can you please tell us more about your professional career from the beginning?
Okay, so from the beginning, you need a little bit of time. I'm 48 years old. This is 2024. After my baccalaureate, when I was 17 years old, I moved to New York City. I wanted something else. I wanted to do something else, and I went to Hunter College, and I did undergrad and grad school there. So my major is economics, and my minor is math. After my master, I worked in financial technology in New York City. And then it's been 10 years in New York. I couldn't renew my visa, right? Classic situation. So after New York, I wanted something very as exciting as as New York. And when you look at the map of the world, this is coming from a very privileged position. I just want to remind people. But when you look at the map of the world, it's 2005 by then. You are like, what is the next exciting place? And the next exciting place is Hong Kong in 2005. So I've never been to Asia in my life, and then I go to Hong Kong. I didn't have a job, so my first stop was going to the French Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. And here they lined up, this is my resume, this is what I'm looking for, and they lined up a bunch of appointments for me to meet. So every day I was meeting, 3, 4, 5 people, from breakfast to meeting to lunch to after. In any case, my first job was, and I did this job for many years, was working in China, where I was manufacturing displays for luxury goods. So I was working for French luxury groups mainly, a bit of Italian too, and we were making the displays for the entire planet Earth. So for me, it was a very an eye-opening world where you're like, when you go for the first time China in 2005, it's booming. Hong Kong is booming. The energy is unbelievable. You feel like you can make anything, do anything, and so it gives you this sense of possibilities. And working there, really, I loved everything. I love Chinese culture. I loved every bit of it. Of course, it's a very difficult job because manufacturing comes with a lot of unpredictabilities. It's very stressful too, but it's so you learn all the time. Culturally, management. I mean, it's everything is like a new learning experience. So I really enjoyed it. In Hong Kong, again, it was that era of 2000, between the 2000 and the 2019. I met my husband, classic situation, who's Malaysian. So after that, when we met, we got married. I have a dog and I have 3 kids. And then after a point, you realize Hong Kong is not the most suited place when you have a large family. It's extremely expensive. We live in quite small places. So since my husband is Malaysian, he was like, why don't we go to Malaysia with young kids? It makes sense. We have more space to grow, learn about the culture, so they will know more about the paternal culture. So we moved to KL, to Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. So now in KL, I did the same thing I did in Hong Kong. I go to the French Chamber of Commerce looking for a job, right?
So
Thinking
now
it
we
will,
are in 2016, right?
and then we are in 2015, sorry.
2015.
And then I go to the French Chamber, and KL is a 30th city. It's not the same jobs. It's more engineering. It's more commodities and nothing to do with luxuries, tech, what I did before, right? So I found myself at a crossroad career-wise. And if I was looking, because I've never been an expat, and my husband neither, we're always locals. And I was like, if I'm looking for a job as a local, obviously I'm a local, the salaries are very low, low in Kuala Lumpur. So I was not willing to have a good job but a very low salary. I was like, it's time to do something I really want to do. And in Hong Kong, I already set up on the side on, because what I was working in a very polluting industry, right? Where you just, every season you change the displays, according to the new collections. So in Hong Kong, right away, they don't recycle in Hong Kong. And in '05, you're like pushed to, well, as a European, you're wondering, where do we put the trash? And everything goes to the landfill. So already I was rethinking my recycling sense. Like recycle, I was starting to think recycle might actually not be the solution here. Why don't we move to the reuse, refuse, reduce, kind of lifestyle? So slowly but surely, which is quite difficult when you live in Hong Kong and in China, to go for the refuse, because again, you can't drink tap water. Few challenges are, I mean, it's not like easy.
Yeah, linked with the
So
plastic bottles, for example. Yeah.
yes, because you can't drink tap water, so
Yeah.
that's dangerous. So
So now at this moment, when you arrive in Malaysia, so this is processing in your head, and you start thinking about creating your own business and opening the hive, right?
yes, just because I couldn't find a job that either paid me well or would I mean any job that would be in my field, right? So here, this is when you have to look for opportunities. I mean, like this is kind of a bad situation for me at this stage, but I turned it into an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to see. And I started very, very small. And I was like, since in Hong Kong in parallel, I created a Facebook page which has this horrid name, Hong Kong Green Home. And on that page, I was sharing tips uh, on how to live more sustainably and how I was trying to live more sustainably just with my lifestyle, where to source products, what to install in your house to have a filtered water, all those kind of things. And in KL, I did the same. I started the page, what was it called? Kuala Lumpur, Zero Waste Kuala Lumpur, Facebook
Mm-hmm.
page. It still exists, but I haven't fed it in years. And it started to grow very quickly as well as in Hong Kong, because I was not the only one trying to live more sustainably, but it's very hard to source any kinds of products. Because even in KL, same, you can't drink tap water. It starts
Mm-hmm.
with the tap water as well, because right away you end up with huge amount of plastic bottles at home. So I started this page. I couldn't find a job. I could see the page was growing, 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 and we had all those people with the same issues as I had. So this is where business come, right? We
Mm-hmm.
have issues as consumers. How do we solve this issue? And obviously, as a business owner, I'm not the only one, because again, it doesn't work. A business doesn't work if it's only to fulfill your own personal needs. You need to be, multiples. So I was like, okay, this is a situation where people are like me. We're quite substantial. We're talking few thousand people all over Malaysia, but you know how things grow. And I'm like, I'm going to start small. And in Southeast Asia, at the time, we had no zero waste store, what we call a green store or sustainable stores. And in Europe, they started to pop everywhere, in Australia as well. So I was like, let's get inspired by those stores and create one in KL. And I started extremely small, and this is how it started. And it's called the Hive. So that
Okay.
was back, and I incorporated it. It's a limited company for Malaysia in early 2016.
Okay. So now at this time you decide to start small. Can you detail how you did to create this and what was the context? Can you detail a little bit about this?
Yes, so it was 2016. So Malaysian laws, you have to be careful when you open a business not in your own country. So you really have to look at the laws and see how it works as a foreigner. So luckily enough, I'm married to a Malaysian, but I was not at the time a permanent resident. Now I am. So at the time in 2016, if you were a foreigner to open a company in Malaysia, you needed 2 Malaysians on your director board. So I took my mom-in-law and my husband. Afterwards, the laws have changed, and I know that I knew that foreigners could open a company by themselves and be by themselves on the board. So that's much easier, obviously. But you have to be careful, because Malaysia tends to change the law quite often. So
Mhm.
always double check, before, and that's true for a lot of countries, similar to Malaysia. So in my situation, I still have on the board my mom-in-law. I could have changed, but it's kind of expensive to change, you know, all those accreditations. So I kept my mom-in-law and my husband on the board just by cost and time issues. So I started very small here. So again, I would recommend for those kind of, because this is a project where you're going to make money, but at the same time, it's a really passion project. So you have to be careful not to be too emotional in this situation. I made a lot of mistakes because I was too emotional. But here, what I did quite right though was I started very, very slow. So I started with probably about 20 or 30 SKUs, so references, and mainly lifestyle products, so bamboo toothbrushes. And the luck has it that my number one bestseller now, I started with that one too, which was the washable sanitary pads, which at the time was from a friend of mine from Hong Kong, a brand called Charlie Banana. And it's a friend of mine who launched it. It's another French woman who launched it in Hong Kong, Gaëlle. So I was importing her products to Kuala Lumpur. And then ultimately her products were too expensive because at the same time, you really have to look at your customers. Because I felt like at the beginning, I was catering for, you know, the very, very niche, a bit posh market. And I was like, this is not the point. Here, this is a zero waste store. It has to be super democratized. And we need to be able to reach every classes in Malaysia. Everybody has to be able to afford our products. So ultimately, I had to go back to Gail and explain, listen, your products are, because she targets the US market. Her number one market is USA. She sells at Target, by the way, in the US. And I'm like, your products are too expensive for me. I need products for the Southeast Asian market. So I need like 2/3 cheaper, pretty much. I can't resell at the same price as you do. So ultimately, luckily, because I worked in China for so many decades, for more than a decade, I was able to source a factory in China. And because beginner's luck with that factory, they designed the pads I wanted. You don't have to be it's not rocket science, but I made it the way I want it, with 2 snaps, very secure. And we've been on business now for 8 years. That factory and I. It's very Guangxi situation where, you know, it's win-win both sides, very Chinese style. My quality control is unbelievable. I don't think I have, when we order batches of 10,000 units every time, I don't think I have a 0.01% defect.
Okay.
This is
Wow, impressive.
quality control I have. And the product, that's on defect and on longevity. If you take good care of that product, I mean, the company is now 8 years old, but I think it can probably last till 10. It will be after 10 years. I mean, it's going to the trash for sure, but it's still good. You know, the snaps
So then
are good quality.
And then after you found this product, you also decide to develop your products and your catalog.
That's right. So this is when OEM starts, right? Because you're like, okay, we need to sell products for it has to be very affordable for the local customers. We need to democratize those products. Those products technically needs to be in every household, ideally in Malaysia, right? So how do we target all those customers? Price, it starts with the price here. So I need to do OEM really large quantity with, like, we would sell toothbrushes in US dollars for less than $1 US, you know. So it has to be very, very affordable, large quantity. The goal here for a zero waste store is not to produce locally in Malaysia. You know, I was looking for where to produce in Malaysia, you know, having a low radius, you know, with very low emission. That does not exist. So the reality was, how can we have an impact on the planet and for the women, a better lifestyle for women? Here the impact was, okay, it's made in China, but at the same time, our products last for so long. A cup, a pad, it's 10 years. And we remove so much waste just by having this product in our bathroom. So for me, the goal was more like long-term impact on the planet Earth. I mean, medium and long-term impact, and direct impact on my customers' wallet. and obviously the well-being of women, because there
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of still what we call period poverty in Malaysia, where female can't afford pads or cups.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hive is here to alleviate this problem.
Okay, and speaking about these consumers, these ladies, and the planet, what are your personal beliefs regarding sustainability and today consumers' trends?
So today, customers' trends with 2024, it's not so good for the planet, to be honest. Since COVID time, customers, so we were doing such a good job planet-wise on awareness until COVID hits. And we were
Mm-hmm.
going in the right trend, the right direction. Customers worldwide were becoming more conscious of their purchases and be more conscious on the waste. And then COVID hit and all the bad habits came back, and conveniency, of course, safety first. This I totally understand. But unfortunately, this sense of conveniency lasted after COVID. So now we're in 2024 and I see consumer trends, and I don't know if it's correct or not, but it might have a factor in it, the social media as well, and mainly with TikTok coming in and targeting the younger generation on hyper duper consumerism. It's obviously it clashed directly with what we were
Mm-hmm.
promoting.
Mm-hmm.
When we're promoting a slow, more of a slow movement, more of a more conscious purchase. Everything was pretty well thought out before you purchase it. Do you really need it? Is it going to last you for a long time? Is it good for your health, for the planet? Now it's like consume, consume, consume,
Yeah.
discount, discount, mainly in Southeast Asia or in Asia in general. So that totally clashed and obviously bulldozed right away what we were pushing for. So during COVID time, the business, we were selling food, so we still were in business, but the margin on food is extremely low. We are 35% at best, because all our products are unprocessed, organic. It's only one product, right? We can't even margin a little bit more because it's 10 ingredients together with a cute packaging. So it's not the situation. So margins are super low. And people were only ordering food. You can't have a business with only a 30% margin.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pay for staff, taxes, uh, and rent or anything like that. So that really started to hit us. And then after that, the customers didn't come back. So
Mm-hmm.
we always kept our hardcore customers who would come to our shops with their containers. Plus sometimes random customers coming because they're curious about the lifestyle. But most of our customers didn't come back because
Mm-hmm.
life changed for them. They changed their habits. And I understand that too. And so we decided, we were opening pre-COVID, we were about to open our 6th store. And after that, slowly but surely, we closed one store at a time. So every
Mm-hmm.
time, as a business owner, it's like you're tearing apart, your heart. It's very hard because every store is a lot of work. It's a lot of investment. And so it's very hard to watch.
Yeah, this
And
is this is why today you are facing too many issues that force you to close this last
right,
job, huh?
so I
While
closed we're
keeping the
having,
online one, huh? It's important to specify that.
it's important to specify here, online did always very strangely. So yes, for people listening, we're closing this week. Last week I closed my last store, so I'm still mourning in a way, if you want, and linking my wounds. But what happened to us is, even though we were zero waste and in this movement from day one, I had a DTC, direct to customer website. So we're on Shopify. We started with WordPress, so it was very clingy at the beginning. It was 2016. But we've moved to Shopify pretty fast afterwards. So we have a beautiful Cadillac e-commerce platform. But it's not where we make most of our money. So I keep on telling customers, and people are always a bit surprised. We get most of our money from Shopee and Lazada, so which are the Amazon of Southeast Asia. So marketplace. Why? And we were there, luckily for us, pre-COVID. I was already on Shopee and Lazada,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't believe in it. I was telling the team, like, yeah, let's get on those super new shiny toys. We don't know how to play with them. Let's just sell there so we can still target people who want a cup from Teranganu. They can get their cup. But the sales were very slow, right? And I really never really paid attention to those sales. I was more concentrating on the shops.
In a physical
And then
shop. Yeah.
COVID hit, and then I saw my sales go up on Shopee and Lazada. So now I started to really pay attention to those two platforms. And then we started to feed to understand how to put AdWords and all those kind of, and how to learn all the marketing tools. Because I mean, they always create new one. So we really dedicated some of our time to those two platforms. And during COVID, it was technically where we were making most of our money,
Mm-hmm.
and mainly the profit, because revenue is not enough. What you want is profit. So our profit was coming from those platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to really, really curate them and take care of them, understand them properly. And then since COVID, so as mentioned, our stores, the customers didn't come back, so we had to close them one by one. Now we are in early September. We're going to be in early September 2024, and I just closed my flagship, so my shop that was almost 8 years old. So that's very hard to watch and to see everything go. I was selling everything for nothing, so very, very painful emotionally. But I had to make this decision because, of course, we were bleeding money, and the online platforms were technically trying to, because the shop was running at a loss for years.
Mm-hmm.
But the online sales were making up for the loss of the shop. But this is not how you run a business, right? So I had to close that store. I should have done it before, but the store was so important for the community because it became a recycling center. So I don't know if you remember, a big chunk of the store where you would drop all the glass, all the bubble wrap, all the cardboard, anything like that. So, but the point is, this is a business for profit. I have rent to pay. I have staff to pay. I can't be a free recycling center for the community, right? So here I had to close it. Very difficult decision, but I'm at the same time, I have two feelings. My heart is bleeding, but I'm relieved.
Yeah. Okay. Difficult decision.
Yes, because now I'm looking at our daily sales, and I'm like, I know how much is that profit, and finally we're gonna recover from the years of loss. So now my oxygen is coming back. You see, I just closed it not even a week ago, and I'm like, oxygen again. You know what I mean?
Now that you breathe a little bit again, maybe you want to tell something to anyone who would like to start a business in Malaysia.
So anyone who wants to start a business in Malaysia, Malaysia is very business friendly. So here, at the same time, Malaysians are very customer trend focused, right? So any trend in Malaysia, you need to follow, and this is where your business needs to be. At the same time, Malaysia, you have to be mindful. It's a country that has 3 ethnicities. So you have different customers as well. And it's a country where you do not have a large middle class like you would have in the West, right? So you still have a quite important middle class, but it's only one town, and it's Kuala Lumpur. So your market is actually, at the end of the day, very small, because you focus only for one city, and it's an important city, but with one amount of, you have this middle class you're targeting, unless you're targeting, the upper class, or you're selling for a couple of ringgit items. But you're targeting a very, very small, at the end of the day, market. It's only 33 million people. It's only nationally, on the level of the country. It's only one big city with, I don't know what is the size of the middle class, but it's not that huge, not that compared to a Western town. So at the end of the day, it's small. Okay, you're never gonna have, you can't scale. It's hard to scale. So it's small, and that's the reality. Then for us, we opened a limited company in Singapore. So what we did, and you can do that if you have a Singaporean partners, and it's possible because now you have companies who finds partners for you. So you have this person who you don't even know them, but they just give they're being paid just to give their name and be on your company board, directors board. So you have those people, but they don't own anything of the company. You make all the decisions. So we opened a company in Singapore. So what we do in Singapore, we sell on Shopee and Lazada, the two same platforms we sell in Malaysia. And we have a center where we send all our items to, like warehouse, plus they do fulfillment for us and shipping. And every time our orders come from Shopee and Lazada, directly it goes to that center and they ship for us. But we still have to do the customer service. So my team is still the one replying to all our customers, all the inquiries that the chatbot cannot do is taken care by the KL team. So we have this other source of income, which for us works very well as well. It's quite expensive. Our margin of profit is much lower than in KL because we have to pay for this service.
Yeah.
And they're based in Singapore. So as we all know, Singapore is an expensive place to be. But it's still, it's the same amount of money. Team people I use in KL, they are the one who's handling it too. So for me, I'm still happy with the small margin I make there. So yes, so that's another stream of income. So here, just to let you know, possible to open a business in Kuala Lumpur, but if it's a business where you want to scale, it's a bit difficult. I think the market is too small for it. But it's a great place to start. And if you want to grow internationally, I think Kuala Lumpur, because it's quite easy to open a business, it's quite business friendly, the rents are low, the labor is quite affordable and quite skilled, and flexible. So for me, the team I have, of course, it's an 8-year business. So we back and forth, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as any management situation is the same worldwide, right? But now the team we have, most of them have been we've been working together, and we know how to work together now for years, and we work quite well together. It's a very multicultural team where we all know where are our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. The boss is away, so here it's another of the challenge. I'm guessing they probably love it very much. But for me, as long as the business is running well, I'm happy, and it does. So trade-offs a little bit here and there, but it's a great. I'm touching wood at the same time here. We are in a great place team-wise. But sorry, I lost the trend. My trend. Yes. So Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, it's a great place to start. If you want to scale internationally, you can't. I don't think you can scale nationally just because you will lack customers, except if you are on Shopee, Lazada, and all those marketplaces. So then you target customers everywhere in the country. But it's a great place to start, yes, and to learn from your mistakes. And then if you have a bit of money, but that's expensive, you can move to the Singaporean market. But Kuala Lumpur, that I will be eternally thankful for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you
which
for
I
all
will not
this.
have there, you know. You don't dare, like if you live in Hong Kong, you live in Paris, you live in London, everything is super expensive. Rent-wise is expensive. Hiring someone is so expensive. So here they gave me that opportunity.
Good to know. Very good to know. I'm sure these are very good advices for everyone who is listening. Maybe we can finish on the last question because it's already the end of our talk. What are your plans for the future, Claire?
So our plans for the futures are, as any business, you see the customers are not coming offline, anymore. So we're selling, yes, online. So no issues on that one. But we open on parallel a second business where nothing to do with zero waste, by the way, where we are making biscuits for corporate. So it's a B2B business. So where we're making those dried biscuits where you can print anything you want on the biscuits. So here we work with local banks. So for Maybank, we did. Maybank is easy because it's MY, so it's my Maybank. I love Maybank. So we wrote a lot of messages for Maybank. So we have this biscuits business now on parallel. So I didn't have to lay off a lot of people from my team, I was able to keep the same. See, because very important business-wise, when you have very good team members, colleagues, you want to keep on working together.
Yes.
Because it's so difficult to find this synergy, right?
And long as well.
Exactly. So here, if I needed to find a place where we could stay together, and it was our way to do it. So now we have this on the side. So it's called Bole Rasa. We just launched it because it would have been too much. I was like, we need to close first the store and then really focus on Bole Rasa on parallel. So we have this as well, which is super fun. And I don't know what's going to be next. What's going to be... I'm having fun with Bole Rasa. As you know, I'm a university lecturer here in France as well. So right now it's, as any entrepreneurs, you're always looking for what does customer want, what is good for the community. Here, the biscuits is like, I want to give, corporates right now are a bit tight budget-wise. And I'm like, how to cheer up, colleagues at work, how to cheer up having fun messages on biscuits. Who doesn't like a cute biscuit, to cheer you up where it says, I love you on it. So cute things to cheer people up that doesn't cost much money, very low on sugar because I'm all about health too, but just brings a little bit of joy and happiness. So I think that's what customers want as well right now. So always listen to customers, what they want, follow that trend, and obviously be good for the community. That would be my, make your community happy or better off. Find what makes them, for me, that's what my goal in life, what makes the community good, happy, and obviously I can make a living out of it. So that's...
Okay. Good luck for this new adventure, this new chapter.
Thank you. It's called Bole Rasa, and it's still under it's under our website, the Hive Eco Store, but probably as we move along in 2025, it will have its own website.
We will have a look for sure, and we will follow up this adventure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We hope you will all enjoy this talk. Thank you, Claire, for your time and your answers.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope I helped you with your questions because I received a lot of questions when I closed the last Hive. Again, here, the Hive is closing, but we can still continue trying to live as most sustainably as possible. Push now maybe your supermarkets to have more zero waste options in the supermarkets. I think the trend will move to the supermarkets now because customers want convenience. That's very important. So let's bring convenience to the customers via the supermarkets, but supermarkets have to offer those more sustainable options.
You're right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Cora, for the questions.